Hey everyone, it's Austin Solomon, the Solomon Group at Coldwell Banker. Welcome to this week's episode of the Wausau Real Estate Show. It's this time of year that everyone's asking the same question: do people really buy and sell homes in the winter? The answer is yes. As a buyer and seller, what can you expect in the market right now between the holidays and into the new year? That's what we're talking about today. So what we've seen in the market, and this is more of a traditional market this year, is things definitely tend to slow down in this season. What that means is there's less homes that are on the market, right? We might have 500 homes in general in the greater Wausau area on the market in the summer. Now we're probably seeing about half of that, right? So there's not as many options for buyers in the marketplace. Now, as a buyer, is now a good time to buy a house. There are some downsides to buying a home in the winter. You don't get to see what you normally get to see like in the summer. You don't get to see the yard and the landscaping if it's snow covered, or the roof, right? However, as a buyer right now, one of the positives to buying now is there aren't as many buyers that you're competing against. Things tend to slow down a little bit. The amount of bidding wars and things, the amount of multiple offers and bidding wars have gone down, where if there is a good house that comes on the market, you're maybe not competing with the 8 to 10 other buyers that was common in the spring and the summer. Now maybe you're just competing against one or two. And the pace is a little bit better too for a buyer. Now, granted, there's not as many homes coming up. You may have to wait a little bit longer in between showings because there's not as many homes coming up. But when that right one comes up, the pace is a little bit more enjoyable. You can work with your agent more closely. It's not quite as frantic as it was in the spring and the summer. So it may be a more enjoyable experience buying now. As a seller, you might say, hey, do I want to wait till spring in order to sell the home? And there's pros and cons to listing the home now versus in the spring. One of the positives right now is there's not a lot of homes that you're competing against out in the marketplace. I just listed a home this week that actually had sold in the hot summer market. We just put it back on the market, and it still had quite a bit of activity and sold for the same price as it did in the summer. So the prices have adjusted up from, the hot summer market. The prices obviously have gone up, and they've stayed relatively high. So as a seller, you can still count on, if your house is nice and you price it competitively, you can still count on there being serious buyers out there who are ready to buy your home. The buyers that are looking right now tend to be very serious. A lot of buyers, if they're relocating to the area for a job or they're moving from another area, they're serious, they're ready to buy a house. They're just waiting for that right home to come up. So if your house is nice, it's presented well and it shows nicely, there's a good chance that a serious buyer is going to snatch it up and pay a good price for the home. So as a seller, it's not a bad time to put your house on the market, as you're not competing with as many other properties versus the spring and summer where everyone kind of puts their house on the market. So that's a little bit about the market during the winter. I think it's a good time to put your house on the market and to sell. It's not quite as stressful because there's not as many showings, but there's still serious people that are buying. As a seller and as a buyer, again, you're not competing with as many people. There's a chance to take advantage of a good home. It's a great time to still participate in the market. And of course, throughout the process, we're here to help you guys out. So if you have any questions, of course, reach out. We'd love to work with you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's episode of The